Welcome to another video. This is a build creation tips video. Let's get straight to it. Now the first tip I have for y'all is gonna be to read. I know a lot of y'all little kids don't like to read, but you're gonna need to read if you want to make a really good build. You want to go to help and you want to go to skills. Every single thing that you need to know affects your build is gonna be right here. This is how you know what to put your stat points in. This is very important. You need to read all of this. You know what? I'm gonna give y'all a freebie. If you go to handles and you read it, it says how fast you perform your dribble moves, what dribble moves your player can perform, and it decreases the chances of having the ball knocked loose. The higher your handles, the better these components of it are gonna be. A 99 handle is gonna be a way faster handle than a 75 handle. A 99 handle is gonna be harder to knock loose than a 70 handle. Read these skills, they matter. That's tip number one. Tip number two is going to be in the My Player. It's actually when you're actually making your build itself, so let's go. Appearance don't matter. Do what you want with it. That has to do with you, I don't care. Tip number two is the takeover you go with, and this is going to sound crazy. This is going to sound weird, but I'm going to need you to work with me right now. The takeover you go with is going to be the stat that's the easiest to upgrade, and it's going to be the stat that you don't need to focus too much on, because your streak is going to cover you. For example, if I went with aggressor take, and I'll get into that, I'll get into the height and everything. So as you can see here, my perimeter, my inside for a guard, the inside is really high for a guard. A 68 inside. Most guards are going to have 30, 40, maybe 50. I'm high. My inside is a high 60. This is really good for a guard because you could potentially stop fours. There are some fours that you could potentially stop. You're not gonna be able to stop a slasher forward that has a 99 drive and dunk. That's just gonna be really difficult. But you can stop most forwards with this build because of how fast it is and how high the defense is. The 3-point shot, you can always make it up. I'll explain that later. The most important part to remember is that as a two-way, the stats you need to focus on are going to be the opposite of whatever your takeover is. You want to make sure your inside is really good, max out your inside. The perimeter is going to be something you can work around. You don't need a 99 perimeter. An 85 is going to cut it. But the shooting, you have to make sure you max it out. You need to make sure you max it out. The layup, max out the layup. You need to make sure you max it out. And the speed, obviously you want to get it as high as possible because it does affect your defense. That's tip number two. Tip number three is actually when we finish making the build. Tip number three is don't test the player. Don't do this. Don't do this. Do not do this. You want to finish the build. Yes, finish the build. And you want to edit the build right here. Why? Because now you get 325 skill points instead of 275, and you get 60 trait points instead of 50. Now, when the game releases, you're not going to start out with any stats. You might start off with 10 or 15. But once you constantly upgrade your build little by little, eventually you're going to get to the point where you can get to the 325. You're going to go past the 275 because of the extra game moves that Jukes is going to add. You're going to want to do those because you want as many skill points as possible, which is going to make your build even better. Now you want to max out your speed. You want to get your speed as high as possible. Get your speed as high as possible. You want to max out your shooting. Your shooting is very important. You want to move down all the stat that you're not going to need. You don't care about free throw. We're going to be matchmaking. It's going to be like a park. You don't care about free throw unless you're going to rec. Unless you're a league player, then you care about free throw. Then you want to put some stats in there. We care about acceleration. We care about stamina. Very important. You low-key do want your acceleration to be higher than your speed. I'm not going to explain why. I'm not going to say nothing, but you do want your acceleration to be higher than your speed. You want your layup to be very high. Handles, I already explained that. The higher handles, the faster your dribble moves are going to be. This is disregarding traits. This is without quick chain. Base stat wise, an 81 handle speed versus a 50. When you're doing the handles, the 81 is obviously going to be faster. Passing, I don't think passing is going to be that important unless you're playing rec or league, or you want to just throw full court dimes, that's up to you. I just personally don't think it's that important. Inside defense, max it out. Very important. Perimeter defense, you don't need it to be that maxed. 85 in my opinion is good enough. You know why? Because you're quick enough to stay in front of someone. If you have good defense, you don't need to max out your perimeter at all. Now you have 37 extra points to put into what you believe is going to be useful. If you want to max out your passing, go ahead. If you want to max out your perimeter, sure, go ahead. If you want to max out your steal, go ahead, because you can. Whatever. If you want to, now maybe you saying I want to dunk. Here you go. Maybe now you can dunk. I just don't believe that dunking is useful. Me personally, what I would put my stats into is steal, or max out your passing, or max out your strength. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But let's just say you decide that I want more defense and I want to be able to steal. Right. Cool. Now let's get to the traits. The traits are very important. The traits are what complements these stats. So you want to make sure that whatever traits you're going with is going to complement your playstyle. You want to make sure that whatever traits you pick are always going to be used. Don't pick traits that are circumstantial, where you need a certain circumstance to occur in order for the trait to be useful. No, you want to pick a trait that's always going to be useful. Quick chain, always going to be useful. Ankle breaker, always going to be useful. Consistent finisher, that will always be useful. You know, for those that are garbage at this game, quick finish, it'll increase your good release window. That will always be useful. Slithery is always a good badge. Bronze Slithery in RBW5 was one of the best badges you could ever have. Space Creator is always useful. Deep Range, always useful. Rhythm Shooter, one of the best shooting badges. These two right here, top 2 shooting badges you could ever have. Rhythm Shooter, Deep Range, top 2. Tough Shots is a really good one. Focus Shot is a really good one. As a 2-way, you obviously want Clamps. Intimidator, probably the best defensive badge in the game as of right now. And don't sleep on Steady Defender. Super useful badge. And just like that, we've made an all-around shot creator. This is a 2-way. This build is really good. This is a really good build that you want to make. This is very similar to the build that I have. This build is really good. Now, the third tip that I have for y'all is gonna be the boost. You need to realize that whatever your shortcomings are, the boost can make up for it. As you can see, my 3-pointer is not that good. I get a shooting boost. Now my 3-pointer is a 75. Much better than a 69. The shooting boost, the boosts are going to be important. Whatever your shortcomings are that you want to be better, use the boost to make up for it. It will show. The effects do show in the practice whenever you go there. But that's it. That's all the tips that I have for y'all for the build making. Make better builds. If y'all have any builds y'all want me to make really good, leave them down in the comments. I can make them for you. That's about it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy your day. Deuces.